Hello and welcome to Tuesday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic. And on screen today we've got a puzzle that's been recommended to us by none other than Christoph Seeliger, the brilliant solver and setter from Germany. Christoph is one of my most trusted puzzle spotters, so when he recommends a puzzle to me, I always listen, and it means basically we're in for a treat. Now the puzzle is actually by Wecoc, who has appeared on the channel before. And the puzzle type is a normal killer Sudoku of all things, so not a complicated rule set at all today. And in fact, I have been doing an absolute metric ton of killer Sudokus over the last few weeks because we're trying to prepare for the launch of our new killer Sudoku app. It is hopefully going to be out by the end of this week, and it features some absolutely incredible puzzles. The puzzles are actually a whole range of difficulties, but some of the ones I've been testing over the last couple of days have been monumentally difficult for me. They felt like I need to go back to primary school to understand killer Sudoku again. I did one by Fistamafel last night that I will not tell you how long it took me, but it was a great deal of minutes. Anyway, look out for that later this week. Now, a reminder of the exciting news that we shared with you yesterday. If you are a patron of the channel, and I think it's a pretty good value thing to be, it costs $2 a month, and we put a lot of extra content over there. But if you are a patron of the channel, then this afternoon we have released this new Sudoku puzzle hunt by Stefan Bura and Akash Jain. Akash you may know better under his Sudoku pseudonym of Eudikos. And it is wonderful. It is a whole sequence of puzzles all linked together. It's called Tracking the Cryptid. And yeah, you'll find it over there now. Basically, you need to work through the puzzles, figure out what's going on, and send us the final answer. And I'm predicting that we will not get any solutions, or at least any correct solutions, by the close of business today in the UK. There's a challenge for you if you'd like to prove me wrong. But yeah, it really is a sensational series of puzzles, and we know you're going to enjoy it, and I can't wait to get the feedback. What I might do, if I remember, is I might ask our Discord friends to set up a specific channel over there so that anyone who wants to sort of swap notes or swap ideas or actually share feedback with Akash and Stefan directly can do that, because they certainly deserve all the plaudits in the world for what they've come up with. Now, let's get back to this one. What are the rules? We have simple rules. Normal Sudoku rules apply, and normal killer Sudoku rules apply, which means in cages, digits have got to sum to the small digit, or the small clue in the top left-hand corner of the cage. So those 4 cells have got to sum up to 20, and you can't repeat a digit in a cage. And that's all there is to it. So do have a go. The way to play, of course, is to click the link under the video. Now I get to play. Let's get cracking and see how we would do it. Now, a quick scan of the grid tells me there are no particularly useful cages here, because, I mean, even a 9 cage in 3 cells has got to be there. Well, there are 3 ways of making that work: 1, 2, 6, 1, 3, 5, and 2, 3, 4. And I see nothing more restricted than that. So the other, well, that suggests we're going to have to combine cages. And the other thing that jumps out at me as I look at this grid is that there's something going on in terms of double rows and double columns, because all of the given cages, like in the rows 1 and rows 2, the cages are entirely contained within the rows. Rows 3 and rows 4, these cages are entirely contained. Rows 6 and rows 7. And it's almost the same in the columns, apart from this little 11 cage is sort of spoiling the pattern. Similarly with the 9 cage, but there's certainly a sort of double rows, double columns thing going. So maybe what we should look at first, yeah, look, we've got 2 big cages in the grid. So I'm going to look at these 2 rows. So what have we got here? Well, we can do some maths, and if we do the maths correctly, we will be able to work out the value of those 4 cells. Now, if you're perplexed as to how one might do that, it's very simple once you get used to these puzzles. Those cells there, if we looked at the finished solution to this Sudoku, what would we find in the yellow cells? And I don't know anything about the order of what we'd find, but I know exactly what digits we'd find. We'd find the digits 1 to 9 in some order. And if you add the digits 1 to 9, you get the number 45. So these yellow cells definitely add to 45. if I add another row of yellow cells, those yellow cells add to 90. 2 lots of 45. Which means that now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add up these cages in those rows. So I've got 26, 27, 53, and 22 is 75. So the cages add to 75, which means these 4 squares add up to the difference between 90 and 75, which is 15. Now that is bobbins, i.e. completely and utterly useless. I was hoping we would get to, if you get to a number like 7 there, happy days, because you can write a 1 in here, for example. But as it's 15, I don't even think we can conclude anything about the digits in there. So that is not where to start. Sorry. So we're going to have to pick somewhere else. Where should we look? We can look at, well, high digits didn't work. Let's look at low digits. So what I'm quickly scanning is I'm scanning the rows and column pairs, and I'm looking for this. So in fact, both column 8 and column 9 contain 2 11s, a 9 and a 15, and so does row 1 and row 2. 2 11s, a 9 and a 15. So this is where we should look next. Let's have a look at this. So we've got same thing again. The yellow squares add to 90. Now let's add the cages up. So we've got 20 there, 31, 46. 46. So I've got 44 in these yellow cells. And that right. So now we have a break in. Because if these yellow squares add up to 44, let's think about what's the highest number I can make those yellow squares add up to. And the key is to realise that all of these cells have to be different numbers. They're in the same row of the grid. So the highest I can make 5 numbers in the same row add up to is 35 if I put 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9 in. Now if these can't be bigger than 35, but together with that cell you have to make it all sum to 44, this square has to be 9. And these squares have to be 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9, otherwise this would have to be 10 or greater. So in fact we can get rid of 9s from here. Now hang on a minute, because that is interesting. Yeah, because we've got rotational symmetry here. So we can just do the same logic we've just done on column 8 and column 9. This pattern is the same. It wouldn't matter if the pattern wasn't the same. You can see that the cage totals are the same. So now we've got a situation where those cells have got to add to 44. So this one has to be 9. And these cells have got to be 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. So let's put that in. These can't be 9 now. And no, this is lovely. There's a bit of a theme going on here. So now I'm going to twist the grid round again. Let's do the same thing down here. Now this time we haven't got a 15, 2 11s and a 9. We've got a 16, 2 11s and a 9. But the extra digit we've got to play with here has been counteracted by the 9 in column 5. This square can't be 9 now. So the maximum I could ever make those cells add up to would be by putting 35 into those cells and 8 here. Now 35 and 8 is 43. And that's exactly what we have to get to, because of course if both rows add up to 90 and we deduct from that 20, 31, 47, we get 43. So this is 8. These have to be 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 again. This time these can't be 8. That can't be 9 because of the 9 in the column. In fact, that can't be 8 because of the 8 in this column. So we're getting a bit of a restriction on those two cells now. And okay, and now it's gorgeous, isn't it? So we've got exactly the same thing we've just done going on in columns 1 and 2. We're going to have to put the 8 here. We're going to have to put the 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 down there. Those can't be 8. That can't be 9. This can't be 8. So the 11 cage now has to be 4, 5 or 6. And the 9 cage, this has to be 2, 3 or 4. Now, okay, so those 3 squares have to sum up to 8, because if you look at, well, sum an 11 and a 9 cage, you get 20, plus 9 plus 8 is 37, so the extra cells must add up to 8 in order to get us to the 45 total we need. 45 in 3 cells always needs a 1. Now so if we could either remove the 2 from this square or the 7 from this square, then we would know this was not 1, 3, 4, because then this square wouldn't have a value. So can we get rid of a 7? No, I've got no, well, I can't see how to do that. So 8. So what do we do now? That felt like powerful. So we've got 8s and 9s. We've got loads of 5s, 6s, 7s, 8s and 9s. So, oh, bother. Yeah, okay, I can see what we do now. We just use what we've already got. So look, this row's got 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 in it. So what are those cells? Well, they have to be 1, 2, 3, and 4. But I think the thing we have to appreciate is because we've got the same thing going on in column 2, those cells also have to be 1, 2, 3, and 4. Same thing in column 8. Those have to be 1, 2, 3, and 4. Row 8, these have to be 1, 2, 3, and 4. So all of these yellow cells have to be 1, 2, 3, and 4. And the reason that's, well, I presume it's important, is that in boxes 1, 3, 7 and 9, we've now got a 1, 2, 3, 4 quadruple. In fact, I'm gonna colour that, I think, rather than notate it, otherwise it's going to make the boxes very cluttered. So orange cells are the digits 1, 2, 3 and 4, and that, yeah, nearly. I thought that was going to give us the 9, but it doesn't quite, because this square has to be a high digit now. By high I mean higher than a 4. But that's still restricted because it can't be a 7, because that would mean we'd need 2 1s in those squares. So it's got, that square's a 5 or a 6. So I think the idea is now we need to focus on the white squares in these boxes where we've got these quadruples, but I can't actually see what else we do there. Oh, I can. Well, no, I can't. But I can see something, which is, yeah, where do we put the orange cells in row 1 of the grid? These 2 can't be orange because we've got all our oranges in box 1. Those 2 can't be oranges. We've got all our oranges in box 3. 9 is not orange, so those must be orange. And then the symmetry continues round the grid. So exactly the same question in column 9 fixes those as orange. And presumably that just continues. You can never put more oranges in these peripheral boxes. So the oranges always go in those positions there. And we get loads of oranges. And now we've got to... So I've still got to place 2 oranges in box 2. So 2 of these 3 squares are orange. That's orange, always. It'd be very nice if we knew that was orange. But we don't. So 5, 6. The 15, that's limited. These squares... Yeah, these squares, what can they be? Well, what's the highest they could be is a better question. The highest I could make them would be 3 and 4, because they're both orange. And 3 and 4 add to 7, which means that this square... Well, this square can't be 9. I can't make these any lower than 7, because if I do, this square wouldn't have a value. So this has to be 8, this has to be 3, 4, which gives us a 1, 2 pair in the box. Oh, look, I've got to keep... When I find logic in this puzzle, you have to keep twisting the puzzle and do the same logic again, because I've got the same logic with 9 I could have done here straight away. This has to be a 5 or a 6. So, yeah, and in this corner, we've got a 16 cage with a 3 and with those two being orange. So they've got to be 3, 4. And this time that's okay, because you can make this a 9. Okay, so now I get a 1, 2 pair. Whoopsie, I get a 1, 2 pair here. We've got 8 9s. Yeah. Yes. 8 9s. 8 9s in these peripheral boxes. Well, these two in particular. The 8 and the 9 have to go in white squares because they're not orange. So where do they go? Those 3 can't be 8s and 9s. So these two are an 8 9 pair. And those must be an 8 9 pair as well, which means all these all of these squares have got to be not 8 9, but not orange. So they're 5 6 and 7. What a fascinating puzzle so far. Now, how do we go further? So 5 6 and 7. Getting a bit colourblind as I look at the grid. I'm not sure whether to focus on orange ones or white ones. So do we have to use the big cages again somehow? We've still got to put another orange in this column. Oh, it's going to be in one of those two cells. Oh no, hang on, I've got to use my 15 total. These had to be 15. Let's just yeah, these two are now restricted because, let me just double check the maths here. So we get, yeah, we had 75 in the cages, so these purples had to be 15. Now that is much more interesting now. It was useless at the start, but here, these two squares are now high digits. So that can never be a 9, because if it was, the minimum this could be would be 5. 9 and 5 is 14. There's no way to make both of those squares add up to 1. So we get rid of 9 here. 8, we get rid of 8 here, exactly the same. I can't make both of those squares a 1. So, and I can't make both of those squares a 6 and a 7, because then these would still have to be double 1. So one of these two squares is a 5, but not both, because you can't put 2 5s in. So 5 and 7 is 12. These would have to be 1 and 2. Or 5 and 6 is 11, which would mean this would be 1 and 3. Oopsie. So there's always... Oh, it's lovely. So there's always a 1 in one of these two squares, and it's never this one because of the 1 in this 8 total here. So this is not 1, which means this is 1. Both of these turn orange because they're both little. Both of those are white. 1 is fixing this pair. Right, so let's do this. 1 and 2. 1 by Sudoku goes here, and we're off and running again. Yeah, 1, 2 up there. Oh, I should never have said that. Why did I say that? 2's got to be in one of those cells. 2's got to be in one of these cells. 1 has to be in one of those cells. And 1 has to be in one of these cells. And, ooh, 2. 2 has to be in one of those cells. Well, 2 can't be here, because then this square would have to be an 8 to make this total 11. So 2 is not there, so 2 is here. 2, oh, beautiful. Now the 11 cage communication is beautiful, because this we can't repeat 2 in the cage. So we know 2 by Sudoku is in one of these two squares, but it's not that one. So this is a 2, which means we get a 1, 2 pair in the 9 cage. So that's a 6. 2 must be in one of those 3 positions. 6 here means we can get rid of the 6s in those cells. That can't be 7. Because if this is 7, you'd have to put 2 into both of those positions now. So that's 5. That's 7. Whoops, 7. This square's got to be a 4. This has got to be a 3. 1, 3, 2, 4. Let's complete the oranges. That's a 3. This is a 1, 4 pair. So this is not 4 anymore. So this is not 5 anymore. The 4s now work. So suddenly I think we're actually doing quite well. 4 has to be in one of those cells. So this is a 2, 4 pair now, which means this is a 1, 3 pair. No, and the logic again is rotational. This 1 here, if this is a 1, that's an 8, and that clashes with that, so it's not 1, which places the 1 here. Now you can't repeat 1 in the box. That's a 3, that's a 1. That can't be 4. If that's 4, the 9 cage needs a low digit, and it can't have 1. So that's 2, that's 6. This is 7. This is 5. That's a 4. This is a 2. That's not 2. I want to delete the 2 from there. I need these to be 3 and 7, I think. And there's a 3 here, so 3 and 7 go in. And all of a sudden we're doing much better. Those 2 squares must be doable, aren't they? 4 and 5? Yep, and the 4 and 5 is doable. So in this box, in fact, those 2 have to add up to 10. They have to be 3 and 7, and we can do that as well. 3 has to be in the central box in one of those squares, as does 2 from these 2s and these 3s. 4 here means we've got a 4 over on this side. So we're still working very nice. Oh, 4. 4 has got to be in one of those 3 squares in the middle. And that means this 8 total is 1, 3 and 4. And we know the 3 is in the middle of that. So this is 3. This is therefore 2. And this is a 1, 4 pair, which fixes 2 here by Sudoku, unless my eyes are deceiving me. I can't see that any of those are 2. So this is 2. That plonks a... Oh, yeah, look. That gives us a 2 here, which makes this a 7. These two squares are a 5, 6 pair to make 11, and there's a 5 here. So 5 and 6 go in. That's a 7. That's a 9. This square's a 3. Let's turn all of these squares orange, so that we don't mess up our highlighting. Those 2 are not 2 anymore. I've still not put the 3 into this box. It's got to go there. So that's 3, and it's orange. Now 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, I've not done the orange ones here. Oh, that's got to be... Yeah, where does 4 go? In column 5 of the grid. It's not there, because of the 1, 4 pair, so it's there. So this is an orange 4. And some of these corner squares, that one can't possibly be all those digits anymore. That's got to be, let's just delete that. That's got to be 6 or 8. The 9 here fixes the 8 there. That's a 9. So this is 6. This is 8. 9's got to find a home in this box now. It's got to be here. Oh, that square's a 5. Look, just to complete the 11 cage. That's a 6. The 9 gets filled in down here, and all of a sudden we're doing really remarkably well. These squares here have got to be 5, 7 and 9. I don't know the order, but I'm going to pencil mark them in. No. The 26 cage has got a 3 in it. So these 3 squares have got to be 6, 8 and 9, and there's an 8. So this is a 6, 9 pair. So this is a 9, and we're off again. 9 and 6. That means this square is a 4 by Sudoku, and that is orange. And that 4 fixes the 4 and the 1 in the middle. So the 4, the 1, 1 goes here. Ooh. Okay. So now look at this box. This is a 1-2 pair in a 20 cage, so this has got to be 8 in order to make that work. I think we've done all of the oranges now. I don't like the pencil marking I've done there. These two squares add up to 13, so these add up to 14 without using 9. These are 6 and 8. Oh, we could have just done that straight away. Sorry, that's an 8, that's a 6. This is a 5 or a 6, so it's a 5 because there's a 6 there. That should be a 6. These two squares have got to be 5 and 7, which probably is resolved by something I'm not seeing, but I'll put those in anyway. These are 9, so this is 13, so we can't use 7. Yep, that's got to be 5, that's got to be 8. That fixes the 7 here. That can't be 7 or 9, so that's 5. And this column needs 7 and 9, so you can see the order that's got to be in. And finally, it looks like we've got a 5-6 pair. Now I'm hoping that this is going to be resolved like that. I think I filled in all the digits. I will click check. Yeah, that's how to do it. It's a beautiful puzzle. It wasn't monstrously hard, but one thing we can say without a shadow of a doubt is it was elegance personified again, wasn't it? And I can totally understand why Christoph recommended it, because the idea that you had to back into these 1, 2, 3, 4 quadruples in the corners is gorgeous. And then I really like the way these 11 cages worked with the 8s. I don't know if that was the way I was meant to do it, but it was a very beautiful idea. And I think, importantly, I've actually filled in all of the orange digits as well. So it's almost... yeah, it's a nice solve. So I hope you enjoyed that. Do check out this Sudoku puzzle hunt, and we'll be back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.